the new system. They don't even talk about this review. It's as if they just, nobody's doing anything about it. But the other lady, the PENCOM, we don't expect the PENCOM woman to do magic. But at least talk to us. You can't until we picket and making noise. She didn't want the press, and then she came out and Osha was in. You don't have to go through all that.
So Ivor, so what's all that talk about pension reforms? Where did all that get us when this is still going on?
You see, the whole idea was because of the defined benefit scheme that wasn't working. That's why the whole issue of contributory pension came in. And from the time the contributory pension started, this scheme was moving well. But in 2007, that's where the hiccup started. In 2007, government as at that time, because the whole issue of funding is a political goodwill. And that's why I said the president now has started developing, and I want to say has developed the political will to fund pension. The whole idea was people will contribute, and then, like we said, the backlog was being funded as at when, because the law says that 7 days after payment of salary, 5% of the total personal emolument has to be paid into the retirement redemption fund with the central bank for the payment of accrued right. That had not happened.
Who is supposed to monitor that payment is made?
The federal government, PENCOM, of course, will make budgetary provision and give, like what my colleague said, when you give that budgetary this thing, and then they look at it as if it is a capital project and say, oh, we cannot afford this one at this time, this is what we can afford. You cannot be affording with the right of people where their welfare matters, because their family, some of these people have worked for the nation and are no longer useful to themselves. So they rely on this pension, and it is a first charge form, like he said, in the Constitution. It is not a matter of we can do this year, we cannot do this year. No, you can do that with capital, but you cannot do it with the welfare. Why are they not doing that with salaries of active workers? Because the active workers can go on strike and close the place. They feel that these pensioners are retired, they are in their various houses in different locations and may not even have money to transport themselves to come and protest. So I believe that is why government had been looking at this. One other issue is people begin to hear trillions. They hear this. The retirement savings account have all this money. They are not somewhere put in PENCOM there, in PENCOM account. What government has to do is to develop the political will to fund the retirement redemption account with the central bank. Because like I said earlier, that is where the bulk of the pension, and if you don't fund it, then we will be returning back to the problem of defined benefit scheme, where you found people in Agora Hotel, especially soldiers, lying down there. So government has to fund it for the contributory pension to work. People are now saying trillions, we can use it for infrastructure, and those are contributions from people. You can't be talking about money. That. People's money. Okay. Let government have political will to fund its own part of this.
Mr. Weniku, going forward, before we get to Mr. Numbers 2, going forward, what can be done to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Well, basically, you know, we've all talked about the problems. It's as if when we talk about it like this, it's as if it's all bad news and bad news. Since the Pension Commission, since the Pension Reform Act came into force 2004, then amended in 2014, we've had, PENCOM has done so much, because really I've looked at it, I'm a contributor, I've looked at it from various angles. They've done so much. If you look at those on the CPS, Contributory Pension Scheme, there's been no problem. The only challenges we've had has been the accrued rights that government has to pay for those that are on the defined benefit system. So the challenge has been from government cash backing. That has been the problem. So the issue of pension commission, if you look at all the pension fund, all the PFAs, all the PFCs, everything is sound and solid. We've had no case of monumental fraud that will lead to a collapse of any PFA like we've had with the banks and other institutions due to the strong regulatory system that PENCOM has put in place. So going forward, what I will say is this: government has to cash backing, political will, first line charge for those on the defined benefit system, just like we have governors and ministers who collect their pension benefits hundreds of millions, and it's paid first line charge. House of Assembly, first line charge. So the pensioners on the defined benefits that were on the defined benefits before 2004, it has to be first line charge. There's no semantics, nothing about it. It's not something we're tired of seeing people like on the street. Pension funds is always a big thing. If you look at it from the Greek problem, the American problem, you talk about when this Greek financial issue came up, it's all about pension. So what happened to the pension funds? When Enron collapsed, it has to do with pension funds. Because when pension funds or anything happens to pensioners, really, like I said, they can't do any other thing again. There's no time to say, okay, let me have another second chance at life again. The time is past. So you're going to depend on what you have gotten. So strict regulation, government's cash backing for these those that were on the defined benefit system, and also for us to be able to increase awareness for more people also, because we've talked about the problems. We've talked the positives are there, and also the future projections. Future projections, as far as I'm concerned, more awareness, like what the pension and PENCOM is doing now with regards to micro pensions, to get more people into the pension net. Because there are so many people in the formal sector. Even as a lawyer, I know many lawyers are not on, they don't have any pension savings. Many lawyers don't. Some doctors don't. Those are not in any structured employment.
Right. I have to stop you there. So, Honorable Namdas, going forward, oversight functions, regular enforcement and all of that, how can this be enforced as we wind down?
I think there is one clarification I want to make too, that I agree with the statements there, but I think there's need for Nigerians to know that the Pension Reform Act of 2004 states that the contributor is going to pay 7.5%, government contributes 7.5%, making 15% of his basic salary contribution. And that has always been the issue. Now, when this Pension Reform Act was amended in 2014, government contribution was raised from 7.5% to 10%. Well, that of the pension, the worker, the retiree, is about 8%. So you put the total to 18%.
Thank you so much, spokesperson for the House of Representatives, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas. Thank you. We really do apologize, but we have to go now. Nduka Nwelike, pension consultant, legal practitioner; Ivor Tako, Director, Center for Pension Rights Advocacy; and Adisa Olawale, Executive Member, League of Contributory Pension Retirees. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. We hope things get better with the pension situation in the country. So as we'll be back shortly, please don't go away.